So this is the Womier SK75, and I really liked this keyboard when I initially bought it, and I reviewed it pretty well because it had a lot of things that I typically do to mod a keyboard already in it. Well, there's a couple of problems with it I found, and the first of which being that it comes with this giant silicone dampener, and this is actually so thick that you lose any of the bounce that you would gain from having a polycarbonate plate. The first thing I did was try just removing this silicone dampener. It was better, but still stiff. So the next thing I did was go ahead and replace the 4 innermost silicone gaskets with just a piece of foam. The gaskets are fairly thick. I'm not sure if you can see that, but they're fairly thick, and they totally bottom out on these little plastic standoffs in the bottom of the tray. So what I did was take the 4 innermost ones out and put just a piece of thin foam on there that serves no purpose other than helping to stop noise from the plate bottoming out in the middle. Because now that I've done that, you can see maybe that we have a nice flex. And when you have this very thin polycarbonate positioning plate, part of the reason you even want that is to get the flex. And if you're getting no flex, there's no point to it. I am going to ditch the silicone pad, and I'm going to replace it with just a thin sheet of PE foam that should fit in here kind of nicely. I could still have some dampening in the bottom, but it's not going to be pressing against the plate and the PCB. And then I'm going to do just 1 layer of tape mod to also help dampen the sound and make it a little more poppy. In the last video you saw, I tried out some Holy Pandas. Boy, did I love them. They really help with my typing. Just having that tactile feel is really great. So I have some more Holy Pandas coming for this. I'm going to put these black JWKs in another keyboard I have. I really like the feel of a polycarbonate plate. Also, may paint this because I believe I told you before, I'm not really into the RGB, and it is a bit crazy on this keyboard. So I think if I paint this, I will be much happier. Also, I'm going to cover this little LED that's in here because it's constantly on and it annoys the crap out of me. You can completely shut off the RGB, but sometimes I like a little black backlighting. So that way I can still have a tiny bit of backlighting, but this light for Mac or Win is constantly on, and it drives me nuts. I could desolder it, but I think what I'm going to do is just cover it up rather with a little piece of dark foam, and that will stop that light from shining through and annoying the crap out of me. Here is our newly foamed bottom case. I just cut it out around the standoffs, and I actually threw some sticky foam on here as well, just in case the plate bottoms out. This will just stop the bounce back. Now I'm going to tape mod this with just 1 layer of paper tape. Our tape mod is complete. Alright, we're back in our bottom case. We have tons of flex, which you probably can't see because I'm holding it. Here is my Stop the Annoying AF light mod. I just took a little piece of that bottom foam and cut it and tucked it in with my tweezers into this little slot here that was meant to let the light through. So now I don't have to look at that anymore. All right. I've kind of figured out that with the Holy Pandas, they actually sound better on a slightly stiffer plate because I had put them in that Magigi keyboard or Majigi or Mage-G or whatever the heck it's called. And they sounded so much better in that keyboard than they did in this one, even though they're the same exact switches. I decided to put the gaskets back in, and I also added 2 more layers of tape mod. Now I am extremely happy with this thing. This keyboard is driving me insane. This little USB-C port right here is not sitting right anymore because the silicone pad is not in this keyboard anymore. So unfortunately, I think what I'm going to have to do is put the silicone pad back in. I already know that that completely destroys all of the flex of the polycarbonate plate. So here's my plan. I'm going to take that silicone pad and I'm going to chop out everything except for the alphas. All of that's going to be removed. So basically, we're only going to have the top portion of the pad and the very most bottom portion of the pad in here. Everything in the middle is going to be gone. This keyboard, like I said, is pretty much already modded when you get it. So the idea of doing mods to this thing just keeps taking me further down a rabbit hole. I have to keep taking the keyboard apart. It's getting better and better and better, so the mods are good. This one is annoying because I don't necessarily want to do this mod. I'd rather this just be like this. I don't know if you can see, but it no longer sits correctly in there. The board's down too far. Now that kind of proves my original point of all the flex being taken away by the silicone pad, because obviously the silicone pad is supporting the daughter board and lifting it up. So I think I could just leave that portion of the silicone pad in there just to be safe. All the F keys are going to have the silicone pad under them. The very, very bottom, underneath the last row of keys, is going to have the silicone pad. But like I said, it keeps getting better, so we're going to keep moving forward. Okay, so here we are. I cut out the center of the silicone pad, which was not super duper easy. I had to use a razor blade, and in the thicker areas I had to switch to scissors. After cutting it out, I took the silicone out and laid it on my foam and basically made a template, and I've decided to go with some just very slightly thicker foam. So that's what we're looking like on the inside. So I'm going to clean some detritus from this, and then we'll put it back together and we'll check it out and see if we finally got this thing where we want it. You guys, we are finally done, and I am absolutely in love with this thing now. Let's just go over everything that was done. The very first thing that's probably most obvious is it's been painted. So I did a crackled sparkle white paint job on the case. The biggest reason for that was to eliminate the extraneous backlight. I just am not into RGB that much to where I want my keyboard lighting up like a rainbow. Just doesn't do it for me. I do like a little background light on here, like maybe at night when I'm typing. Put MMD Holy Pandas in here that were all hand lubed by me. I ordered the factory lube switches. There's barely any lube on them. There's a huge difference on these switches between them being dry or factory lubed and them being lubed by hand. Lube them yourself. Don't spend the extra money. You can buy the non-lubed a little bit cheaper. So we took off the disgusting clear keycaps and we put on this nice CSA profile set. They are double shot PBT. They're awesome. They're super thick and super heavy, so they got a great sound. Also, hopefully you've noticed that in the middle of this video, the quality changed. I went from just using a GoPro kind of sitting on my desk to using my large camera and multiple lenses. I also am using a small shotgun mic, which should help increase the sound and get rid of some of the bounciness in some of my past demos. Let's get to the typing test.